YouTubers, Brian Proctor here again with another tutorial this time. And that's because the other day I had someone come up to me and ask me, how do I draw people? And I thought about that, and I'm sure he meant that in the plural sense. And I said, people, people. Now, people come in all different shapes and sizes. So how would I go about teaching someone how to draw people? Then I thought 99.5% of all people share the same commonality. And that commonality is that we all have two eyes, two legs, two arms, a nose, a mouth, etc. So I said that'll be a good place to start from. So let's start from there by doing the body and we'll work our way up so I can show you guys how to draw people. Okay, so let's start with the body. Let's turn this over because we're going to do a lot of drawing for those who are first time to drawing or those who are kind of weak at doing this. This is the easiest way that I know to show you. First of all, let's start out with the rectangle. I don't want to make it too big because I don't want to go off my paper. Everybody can draw. And usually, as I say, when I teach, I show people you need these three shapes: circle, triangle, and square. You know, turn that into a rectangle, and you can pretty much draw anything. It's just how you look at something. All right, you have your rectangle. Have another rectangle here and another rectangle here. And this is just rough to get you guys started. Another here and another here. Now, you already see we're starting out with a body. Now, let's do a circle or oval up here, and then two lines here, and that can represent another square if you want to be like that. Do a oval for the hands, and this triangle here, if you take it and you widen it out a little bit and you split it in half and you separate it, so you have this and this, that will be your feet. So from the legs you come straight down and then bring it out like that. And then that's your body. That's the one commonality that we all have. We all have that body. I mean, you know, there are people who have lost limbs and are born deformed or crippled or so forth, but the average person has this. We all have that. So, as I said, they all come in different shapes and sizes. So, what we want to do, we're going to take this shape and we're going to turn it around to be able to do other characters. A woman, a child, somebody that's big, somebody that's small. And the thing is, all you have to do is take this and change it around. Let's just say we do this. And this would be, if you continued, it would be a triangle. Do that, and then do this. Do that. And then we have the head, and that would be, it could be a big woman because of the shape, or a large size woman. I don't want to say big woman. And then again, we do with the triangles. And then the neck. Let's say we reverse this a little bit. We do this, something to the point like that. Do your legs. Arms, and your head. And then you would have more of a muscular type person. And these are just easy drawing with these simple shapes: rectangles, triangle, circle, or oval. And then you have his hands that come down like this. Now, the easy part is, well, the hard part is over, because if you're drawing people, unless you're drawing people nude, this part really doesn't matter. I mean, if I was drawing this guy nude, then I would have to do like the chest, you know, the abs, you know, the crotch, the whole 9 yards. But anytime people draw a person, 99.999 times they're going to put clothes on the person. So you don't have to worry about getting this shape right, because you're going to cover it up with clothes anyway. For example, if I put a t-shirt on this guy, you have the round neck, short sleeves, other sleeve, and already you see that whatever shape I have is covered up. So you don't have to really stress, you know, a perfect shape, because as I say, you're going to put clothes on them anyway. Now, from here, let's do something else. When we have this, let's change our paper. We're going to get a little more detailed because unless you're drawing cartoons, you're going to need a little more detail than this. So we'll do another guy here. This time we'll just do the body half. We won't do the arms and the legs. No, we'll do the arms and the legs. The arms, should I say. And we'll get into a little more detail. Now here you have the head, the shoulders, and the neck. Now, no one really has a flat shoulder. You have shoulders that come down like this. So what you're doing is you're just drawing, just like the feet, those two separate triangles, except you're not making them too high. You don't want them too high up on the guy's neck, like that. So you want to keep it down. So anytime you draw this, that's going to be your next step, is to just draw the little triangles to represent his shoulders. And that gives him a more realistic look than that. Because I can dress her, if this is a female character, I can dress this female and, you know, make it have nice clothes on or whatever. But there will always be something wrong in the shoulder department. That's why you add this little triangle. So then if I dress this guy, it would make his shoulders look a little better. And as I said, because you're putting clothes on it, all this is going to be erased anyway. This little part here. So he's looking more and more human every second. The only thing you would have to worry about shape-wise is the part that's not covered up. But let's just say this guy had long sleeves on. Then you wouldn't even see that part. So it's not so much the body that's the hard part. It's just, what are you putting on the body? As I say, it's going to cover the body up. Now we'll get to the face later, but I want to show you how simple it is to draw the body. And let's go from here. Let's just say this guy's got a suit on. And whenever you draw a person, I'm assuming that you already know what type of person that you want to draw. Either you have a picture of it or you have someone in mind that you want to draw. So it's just about putting clothes on it. And if you need clothes, you look into a fashion magazine or a newspaper or something that has someone dressed and you want to draw that particular type of clothes that the person has on. And then doing a suit, let's just say this is basically a triangle. I'm starting to draw crazy with my lines. It's just basically almost like a triangle here. But it curves around his neck, but still, it's like a triangle. And this is a triangle too. You flatten that out. And then this one could be the same thing. It could be a long triangle with a triangle at the bottom. So whenever I draw or whenever I look at something and get ready to draw, I always see what shape is it? What is the closest shape that that thing that I'm going to draw, you know, resembles? Is it the circle? Is it an oval? Is it a triangle? Is it a square, a rectangle, or a long rectangle, which could be a pole? So once you have these shapes, then you can draw, because it only takes a second to draw the body. Now, if I wanted to change that body, let's just say I'll do another one. And it's simple. Oval are oval. Rectangles are simple. I'll take it down a little bit more. That's one thing you're going to have to gauge. How long will your body be? Because you have to judge the legs, proportion of the legs with the torso. That's the word I'm trying to think of, the torso. And the same thing with the arms. So your wrists should come down to where the crotch is. You don't want your wrist to stop here. And then you have your hand, you know, that's wrong. So you would have your wrist would stop pretty much where the crotch is, and your hand would just come just below that. So let's fix this out. And that's just in proportions. And the more you do it, the better you'll become with proportions. And let's put some feet on this guy just because. And we'll get into the feet again a little later. So if I wanted to, say, slim this guy up, I would do this. But as I say, you don't have to worry about too much detail because clothes are going to cover it up unless you're drawing a bodybuilder at the beach. You just want to curve this in and bring it around. Almost with my pencil to make this guy a little slimmer. New pencil time. Switch up my pencils. Like that. Bring his waist in a little bit more, and it will curve out to be like that. And then the head, the neck, and then remember I said the shoulders, and the shoulders should basically round out. So if you're doing a person, even with a shirt, it would come and it would round off like that, so that it won't have this point. Now, if he has, I don't know why I can't talk. If he has a suit coat on, you know, then coats usually have the padding here. So that's kind of like the only time you would have round or pointed shoulders like that. But the average person, it comes down and it will round off. Even like I say, if it has a t-shirt on, it looks better and it's more to life if it's rounded. So let's take another one, and let's say this guy is going to be a little chubby. Do a smaller one. So whenever I'm doing people, and I'm doing like a crowd of people, this is how I start, with this rectangle. So if I wanted this guy, let's make his head a little bigger. If I wanted this guy to be a little chubby, I would round in the stomach area. I would just bulge it out like that, and bring it up and have his arms come down. And as I say, it won't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to put clothes on this guy. Now, if this guy was working out and I put a sweatsuit on him, it would curve around, fit over his stomach, and maybe up under here, and you would have like the I guess that's the elastic part. But because it curves around here, you would know, oh, that guy's chubby. He's got a big stomach. So the body is the easy part. The hard part would be the type of clothes that you put on the person. And I have a video on drawing clothes, and I may link that one at the end of this video. But I have another one I'm thinking of, which would be more helpful, that will connect to this video. But either way, at the end of the video, there will be a link to another video which will help you along doing this. And then your crotch area, and then it would round out like so. And then you would have your feet. And that's just a quick foot. So, speaking of quick feet, let's do this. Remember, this was the shoulders, and it also can represent the feet. So if I have legs, and I'll turn it up this way. Let's just say this is the guy's legs. This is the foot that you're doing. Now, these were his toes over here. Nobody really stands like this. So you would bring this in just a little bit more for facing the front. So out like that, bring it in just a little bit more, because the foot is shaped, basically the foot is shaped like a triangle. That's the closest shape. And then you have your toes here, 2, 3, 4, and your 5th toe. And I don't want to get detailed to it, but as you see, the foot would resemble a triangle. So instead of, as I said, the shortcut, putting the triangle way out like that, that's a good shortcut for you. You just bring it in just a little bit like that, and that represents the foot. Now, another thing about the foot is that most times when people draw feet, they put a shoe on the foot. So you really don't have to worry too much about the toes unless you're drawing some sandals or maybe somebody that's on the beach. But 90% of the time, people draw shoes. So that's something else you really don't have to worry about. You just get that shape. Now, depending on what type of shoe you put on them, as I say, go look in a magazine for shoes, the type of shoes that you want your person to wear. And then usually I'll draw this part. This represents the highest part of the foot, which is here, the toe, right there. And then depending on what type of shoes, I'll go that line here. Let's say tennis shoes. And this is just really, really rough. Something to that point, and maybe a thing on the side. And it doesn't have to be tennis shoes. It could be work shoes, but right off the top of my head, I cannot see a tennis shoe, but it's pretty much like that. I don't want to waste too much time trying to do detail on something that doesn't really have that much meaning to the drawing. But I'm doing it anyway. Don't know why. It could be a Nike or whatever type of tennis shoe you have. So that's the thing. And a quick toe thing. When I draw toes, the easiest way to draw a toe is if you draw steps, like you're drawing steps, somebody walking up the steps. This is what you would have for steps. Now, the toe is basically the same way. If I drew a side, let's say I drew a side foot. And if you're drawing a side foot, I would do more of a wedge like that. And it's pretty much the same thing, a triangle that comes out with a wedge. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another one over here, but I'll do the same thing as I do the steps. I'll come out, down, and around. Out, down, and around. Out, down, and around. Same thing, out, down, and around. And the small one really doesn't. So it would look like this. And then you have your bottom and your arch and your heel here. And your toenails. Like that. So just whenever you draw toes, just think about this one. So if this was, it would be more like that. That would be the toe. And then the other toe would come here or come there. And then your foot's back here. So just think about doing the steps. Not too high up, not too much of a point, but just it curves down and around, out, down, and around. And that is how you would draw a foot, the easy way to draw a foot. You have that instep here, which is a bulge, and then your ankle somewhere in there. So that's a quick way to do a foot. So we have already covered the body, quick shape of the body. You don't stress over the shape because you're going to put clothes on the body. You round the body out if he wants to be slimmer, he wants to be thicker. You know, same thing with the legs. If the guy has like big legs, same thing. You just draw that size, and the clothes will cover that up. Did feet. Now, we've been up to now. We've been doing somewhat guys. Let's do a woman real quick. So the same thing. Now, a woman, usually the shape, depending on how old, what type of shape she has, it's usually, let's do this. Make it easy for you guys. Like that. Bring it in and out. In, out. It's almost like an hourglass, and I'm sure you've heard of people saying, oh, she has an hourglass figure. So if that's kind of hard for you to do, turn it to the side. You have your rectangle, like so, and then just find the middle. And let me show you how to find the middle of a square. If you have a square, you do an X across it, and this is your middle. Wherever that point touches, this is your middle, and this is getting into perspective. So even if you turn something to the side, like you did a wall that went to the side, the same thing would apply. The same rule would apply. From here to this point, to this point, to this point, to this point, this would be your middle of your wall. Let's say if that was a wall and you were going to put a door in there. And they said put it in the middle of the room. That would be the middle. So same thing here. Middle. Turn it to the side. Find your middle. I'm not going to gauge it because I kind of know. And then do a little triangle. Same thing here. Do a little triangle if you have to. And that would take the shape of a woman. And then the feet or the legs, because a woman's hips are more rounder, usually you would bring it in, the two rectangles. Being fatter here and narrower, that's a hard word for me to say, narrower, I'm not going to say it again, here, and then your feet. Like so. And remember, you're not taking it all the way out. If you do take it all the way out, just chop it, bring it in a little bit more, like that. Arms. And usually when I do arms, I don't do straight arms. I'll curve the arms because your elbow here and your bicep, it actually curves your arm around. So I will do a curved arm. Let's get rid of some of these lines. Bring it down some more, Brian. Like so. Now, let's put a head on before we get to the chest. A head and a neck. Now, a woman's head on her body, you would want the head to be a little bigger than the man's head. About like that. And then her shoulders, you have her neck and her shoulders are going to not be as high as the man's shoulders. And it's not going to kind of have that much of a point. A woman's shoulders is going to come and curve around, curve down and around. Sort of like, more like that. Whereas a man's shoulders are going to come down and then around. So if this is his collarbone and this is her collarbone, which this line represents the collarbone, a straight line. So her shoulders are going to curve around and down. You don't want to make her too muscular. And the collarbone, that dip here, this is where your neck muscles would come to. And remember, make her head just a little bigger for her body. Now, doing a woman breasts, one of the hardest things that a lot of people had, and I had a video on that too, is you're just doing this shape right here. Well, let's do it the right way. That shape right there. And everybody knows what that is. That's a heart. You just take this, turn it upside down, draw it on the woman. Now, the point, this part, would probably go right in the center of her neck. So you would bring your heart down, and it can touch the edges of her side. It doesn't have to. And that would be, let me erase this part here. That's the easy way to do a woman's breast. Now, usually if I'm doing it afterwards, especially if I'm doing a superhero type female, which I do a lot of, I'll have the breast here, and then I will bring her side in behind the breast instead of outwards. That depends on how big the woman's chest is going to be. Now, when you put it in clothes, when you put clothes on a woman, I'll do another one. And usually you'll see, like in the beginning, people that draw, they'll have this part here where they come together, and which is true. They do in some cases. And collarbone. I'm just trying to make this so you can actually see and understand it. Now, if you put a shirt or a blouse or something on this woman, give her a head and her neck, make her a little more realistic. If you put a shirt or blouse on her, you won't see this part because that'll be covered. The shirt will come around, maybe almost flattened out like this. You might even see a wrinkle, you know, maybe one come up here and another down here, but you won't see this because that's just basically, you know, push-up bras and hottie magazines, I guess you can say that. It would be just a line like that. And then also say it depends on how large the woman's breasts are. And then, so say if she had a t-shirt on, a tight t-shirt, shall we say, it would follow her curves and end right there. And then it could be a V-neck. The only way you would see that if she did have a large V-neck on, then you would see the cleavage. That's the word I was trying to think of, like that. But other than that, if you did not have this V-neck, you wouldn't see that. It would be like it was a second ago. And as I'm saying again, you don't have to worry about the lines. Are they crooked, are they straight? Because you're going to erase what you don't need and then step back and then come back and do your final lines to make it work out. You have some like creases in here because this is where the fabric would bulge up. And as I said, it would come here and maybe up a little bit and then curve, and it would bulge under the arms like so. And then even at this, her head to me is just a little too small. So that's why I would shape the head maybe a little wider so that her shoulders won't look so big like it's a man. And you want to give her a thinner neck too. So speaking of the heads, if you're doing a man's head and a woman's head, the man's head is going to be more square. He's going to have a more square chin than the woman. The woman is going to come down almost to like a point. You don't want a point. Anime is more pointy, but you want to have a round chin like that. And you can see the difference. So, you know, if I put eyes in here, you can see the difference between a man's head and a woman's head. And we'll get more into that later, but right now we want to get to the body and show you guys how easy it is to do people. And as I said, that line here represents the collarbone, and it actually, women, it is semi sort of straight. It's not really straight, but it curves up a little bit and it goes in. I think a man might curve up a little bit more, where a woman's is more straight, because I say as her shoulders are not going to be round like the guys. And then his arms, that's more muscular, and then his collarbone goes up. And whereas a woman, as I said, it's going to, her neck is going to be more narrower, there's that word again, and it's going to curve out and down, and you don't want her shoulders so big like that. And then her neck, I think I said Adam's apple, I think it's called that. And then her collarbone. So let's step back and see what we've done so far. So, because I've got a lot of stuff to show you, but I want to try to get it as quickly as possible. Because I don't want this video to run too long. Okay, so most times men will have pants on. Let's just assume that, you know, your guys are going to be dressed in pants. But most times women might not be. If you're drawing a sexy woman, female type, she might not have pants on. So let's do this. Let me show you guys how to do a quick leg, women, female legs, because she might have a short dress or so forth. So you want to go straight down the inner leg. And I'll make it a little longer because women are supposed to have longer legs, or they look sexier with long legs. So about halfway is where the knee is going to be. So you do a line and a knee. So from here, where the hip comes around, you're going to curve it around in towards the knee, down past the knee and out and back in. Same way as with the other one. Down in towards the knee. And it can actually touch the knee, out and back in. And one is fatter than the other, but I'm just trying to get you to shape. And then we do the feet again. And these are tiny feet. Like so. You know, actually the woman's, the leg is going to actually curve out like this, come down, and then bulge out here at the knee, and then come out. But we're assuming that, I'm assuming that it's going to, a lot of it's going to be covered up. So we're just going to get the basic shape. You can put a little curve here. It doesn't have to be straight, but in the beginning, you want to do a straight line. Then you want to curve it out. It's going to be thick here, in, not as, won't come in as much as that, in, and then out here. Same thing, in, out, and then in. Because there's a difference between a man's leg and a woman's leg, and you don't want the woman's leg to look like a man's leg. So you want to kind of keep this as close to as straight as possible. Not really straight. You know, she has a little calf here, where a man would have a thicker calf. And then into the knee, curve, and around. So you want to keep it as curvy as possible. And the ankles will be here. The inside ankles are higher than the outside ankles. So what I do is I just do a little slanted line here, and then I put the outside ankles. Like so. And then, as I'm saying, if she has a dress on or something, you know, or shorts or whatever, let's just say a dress, this would be covered up. So you can have a t-shirt and a skirt. So this part that I just drew, it really wouldn't matter because you're covering it up anyway. But that's just a kind of a shorthand to have the legs straight. And I did a video on how to do female legs. You know, look that up as well. So let's just say she has a short V-neck on. And women will have pads too. So that's the only way you would do a square or pointed shoulder or a high shoulder woman on a woman, because she had some kind of shirt on that has a pad on it. Like that. So if I erased this, now depending on how large a woman's breast is, you might see pulling signs across the front of the shirt. You don't have to, but you might, depending on, you know, the breast size. So and the arm is basically the same way as the legs. It curves around like that, and then you have your hands. Like so. So, and your knees can be just kind of, and the knees are not going to be front, they kind of face outward just a little bit. So it would be on the edge. You'd have more room here than you have here. So it's going to be close, and as I said, you have more room here than here. So going over that one quick more time. If I'm doing a leg, straight down, find the middle, and it's going to be a little longer. Curve in and out like that. Because your knee, as I say, your knee is going to be kind of facing more outward than inward. And then with this one, you can curve out a little bit and in. So in, out, there is your knee, and curve in. You have your little calf here, and then curve like that. Your ankle, inside ankle is higher, outside ankle, and then you can have your foot like so. And as I say, it doesn't really matter unless she has a bathing suit on, if you get the exact lines right, because if you put pants on, pants may come down here, dress, what is it? I'm trying to think of that women wear nowadays. The leggings. So, you know, that would be all black. Then you would need the shape pretty much right if you're going to put leggings on somebody. Okay, continuing on with the head. Now, you have the male, you have the female, but what about a kid? Let's do this. If you had a kid's body, let's see, that's the torso, that's the arms. I'm gonna bring that down a little bit more. This is a leg, and that's a leg. Remember what it said, bring the hands down to about the crotch area, or this bottom line, the wrist, should I say. And then your feet. Okay, I'm rushing now. Now, you would say, oh, that looks like the average person's body. And you would be right, depending on the size of the head. Now, if I put this head on there, it would be a man. But a kid has a bigger head in proportion to his body. With a head that size, now you can say, oh, it looks like a boy now. Maybe not a baby, but a younger kid. And I would make him a little more thicker. But it all depends on the head size, the shoulders. And he's not going to have, definitely not going to have shoulders like that. More the female shoulders for a little kid. So I would say he's probably about 11, 12. And of course, kids are going to have bigger, baggier clothes because kids always wear bigger, baggier clothes. So I would make the shirt a lot bigger to hang off of him. Maybe, you know, it's kind of hanging down because you know how kids wear stuff. And I said if I gave this guy some shorts, the shorts would be big, baggy kind of shorts. Maybe his socks hanging down. And of course, kids have bigger feet. Maybe not that big, but they have bigger feet. And little skinny legs, skinny arms. And then chin. Children also have smaller chins, not like that. That's only for a developed man. So kids will have more of a point to the chin. With the big head, small neck. And then you have your little boy or a little girl, depending on the size, or depending on the sex. And a little girl would come in more like that. You give the little girl a little bit of a smaller waist than a boy. So I think that covers body wise. And as I said, if he was a little fat kid, you give him a little stomach. You probably could make his legs a little bigger. You can make his arms or wrists a little bigger, depending on what he's wearing. Now, somebody older would be more skinnier. Maybe not that skinny, and leaned over. And it depends on the posture too. Your posture tells a lot, just like the facial expression. When you see somebody, you can tell if they're happy, they're mad, right off the bat. So in drawing, the posture usually tells, because if you're old, usually you're hunched over a little bit. And I'm drawing this guy from the side, like that. You know, I wouldn't really draw a older person standing just like this. I would bring their shoulders up and bring their head down a little bit so that that's the front, so that they're kind of hunched over, show that their neck is kind of hunched over, like so. But it depends on posture. If you're drawing an older person, and he would have definitely smaller shoulders, smaller arms. maybe some wrinkles, and we'll get into that wrinkles and so forth when we do faces. But it definitely depends on the posture, you know, and other telltale signs are, you know, a cane. But as I said in the beginning, if if you're trying to draw people, I'm assuming that you have an image in your head or you're looking at a picture. So these little detail things would not be that important. And let's just draw this because I started it. And I draw everybody with a t-shirt because it's just so easy. I don't really know if old people actually wear t-shirts because they grew up wearing different kind of clothes than the generation today. So, you know, I really don't think they would wear t-shirts. They might, but, you know, I don't see that. Not the average old person. He would probably have on a button-up shirt. But as I say, that depends on your posture. You know, that even that could be, he could be considered a little too muscular. Maybe I would have brought his shoulders maybe like here, the end of the shoulders here, drop them down a little bit there. But hopefully you get the point. And by now, from what I just showed you, you would know how to draw a body, and that would be easy. So that's the first step in people. So that's one of the commonalities that everybody has: the 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 feet, hands, the chest, the whole 9 yards. So with that out the way, let us do some faces.